strike of a rattlesnake, the danger of stampede, the whistling of cowboys, the swish of a lasso, and the sting of the hot sun. The cowboys on Roundup are true pioneers of Wyoming. Pioneers of outlaw country, cowboys, lawmen, and outlaws, to the businessmen and women who all helped shape Thermopolis in Hot Springs County, Wyoming. Here are their stories.
The Cattle Roundup of 1885.
Satisfies her is a great big drink of gin. Get along there, doggy. My Lulu gal's a breezy. She wears a big white hat. And I'll bet your life when I'm in town, the dudes all hit the flat. Come along, money horse.
Howdy. Welcome to another episode of Pioneers of Outlaw Country, where we delve into the fascinating stories from Wyoming's past that often go unnoticed. I am your host, Jackie Dorothy, and today we are traveling on a roundup with one of our favorite tourists, Owen Wister. The opening of his novel, The Viriginian, captures the scenes that Wister observed in the territory of Wyoming nearly 140 years ago.
A notable sight was drawing the passengers, both men and women, to the window, and therefore I rose and crossed the car to see what it was. I saw near the track an enclosure, and round it was some laughing men, and inside some whirling dust, and amid the dust some horses, plunging and huddling and dodging. They were cow ponies in the corral, and one of them would not be caught, no matter who threw the rope. We had plenty of time to watch this sport, for our train had stopped that the engine might take water at the tank before it pulled up beside the station platform of Medicine Bow. Through the window glass of our Pullman, the thud of their mischievous hooves reached us, and the strong, humorous curses of the cowboys. Then, for the first time, I noticed a man who sat on the high gate of the corral, just looking on. For he had now climbed down with the undulations of a tiger, smooth and easy as his muscles flowed beneath his skin. The others had visibly whirled the rope, some of them even shoulder high. I did not see his arm lift or move. He appeared to hold the rope down low by his leg, but like a sudden snake, I saw the noose go out its length and fall true, and the thing was done. As the captured pony walked in with a sweet church door expression, our train moved slowly on to the station, and a passenger remarked, "That man knows his business."
It is the year 1885, and Owen Wister, the young tourist and future novelist, has been invited to join a roundup with the Wolcott Cowboys. He had been on the ranch for a month and was more comfortable in a saddle, but still very much a greenhorn. His journals capture the adventure he experienced on his very first cattle roundup. August 4th. At a roundup. It's very interesting, but beastly hot. August 6th, Thursday. On Tuesday, we left camp on horseback for the roundup at 5 minutes before 7. On the way, I rode over 2 rattlesnakes who played a duet with their tails. Very energetic. The darker one got away into his hole before I could stop him, but I killed the second and handsomer of the 2. After I had cut his head off, it struck at me. The eye of Satan, who in plotting the destruction of the human race could not have been more malignant than the stare which this decapitated head gave me with its 2 minutes after the trunk was in my hands being skinned. He was 4 feet long, and when I put my foot on him as he was trying to get away into his hole, he felt very solid. We reached the roundup about 9. It took place in the big plain beyond our camping ground of the first night. There were 2 big bodies of cattle, many hundred, and about 12 cowboys scudding round and through them, cutting out those of the VR brand. The mass of animals stood still for the most part, but now and then moved slowly round its own center, giving the effect of a gigantic, leisurely eddy. Once or twice they broke ranks, which caused extra riding and barking and whistling from the cowboys, who flew this way and that to head them off, whirling their quirts and making sudden turns as if their ponies worked on a pivot. The sun grew very hot and shone down on the brown extent out of a cloudless sky. To the east, the peaks were covered with a light blue stifling haze and looked something like the scenery in the Dolomites, which I've noticed before. When our VR cattle had been cut out and bunched, the cowboys started the rest away over the hills. The whole mass began to move westward, creeping over the plain, moving steadily forward as a body and moving constantly backward and forward within its own ranks. A couple of cows would get ahead by trotting, then slow up and be overtaken by half a dozen more at different distances, while in the middle there was a constant seething to and fro. The 12 cowboys all gathered in a long line abreast behind their own cattle and drove them away in the opposite direction. Tom Keene, the foreman, says he likes this life and will never go east again. On Miss Irwin's inquiry whether he will not get tired of it when he grows old, he replied that cowboys never live long enough to get old. They don't, I believe. They're a queer episode in the history of this country, purely nomadic and leaving no posterity, for they don't marry. I'm told they're without any moral sense whatever. Perhaps they are, but I wonder how much less they have than the poor classes in New York. On Tuesday, we were 6 hours and more in the saddle, and I was not tired, to my satisfaction. Owen Wister's journals can be read at the American Heritage Center in Laramie, where they are preserved for future generations. The observations of this young tenderfoot are a window into Wyoming's past, and are considered by many more valuable than gold.
I'm telling you, boy, I'm sure packing a powerful thirst. Me for a can of them Green Gate plums. Ah! Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going over to Jim's place and get a quart of that best clapper juice of his and get off in a corner and kind of slowly strangle it to death.
Thank you for listening to Pioneers of Outlaw Country. Be sure to subscribe, as you don't want to miss a single episode of this historic series. The stories of our pioneers are brought to you by Hot Springs County Pioneer Association. This program has been made possible through a grant from Wyoming Humanities. This was a production of Legend Rock Media.